Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Ahmed Khan and welcome to Na'rۂ Mustánہ episode 6. So today's discussion is around the topic love is in the air. So for the first question, I would like to ask, why did you choose this topic and what's so important about love?
Thank you, Ahmed, for the Inspirator guy. We have the Inspirator guy at our show. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, it's a very interesting topic for today. And why did we come up with this topic? Because I believe that love is one of the highest frequencies on which human beings can ascend to, um, experiencing eternal bliss in this temporary world. So the frequencies like love, peace, compassion, freedom, these are the frequencies that are at the higher range where we can experience abundance in our lives. We can experience contentment and happiness in our lives. So love is an integral part of our lives. Um, and that and why did we come up with this topic today is that I believe that when the human consciousness is a collective consciousness, and when we are in the flow, in the universal flow of that consciousness, the collective impact is more important. And when we elevate ourselves to transform ourselves and become better version of ourselves, it impacts the collective consciousness, and we become we play an important role in upliftment and transformation of the human consciousness of the world at large. So that's why we are here sharing our perspective regarding love.
So I will shift a bit off topic and go off route right now. So I wanna ask you, what is the meaning of love, compassion, and the other things that you mentioned?
Okay, wonderful. That's a
The deep down definition of all these.
Now love. If you go, it's a very depth, deep word. If you see it from superficial, uh, in the Arabic language defines love at there are 11 to 14 stages of love, and how it is defined from attraction to like it's called uh, these are 11, 14 Arabic words from it starts with attraction, then attachment, then comes to ishq, which is desire, and then it comes to passion. So there are different levels and in depth until you reach a point of that immersive love. I don't know if you would be able to understand at this age or no, that when you reach the state of fana, where you just merge with the divine, and that is when that is the um, topmost level of love, experiencing love. So this is what love actually is. It starts with an attraction and it ends with enlightenment or with union with the divine.
So, what impact does this love have on us as human beings?
Yeah. So how love impacts us, like if we see in the physical world, or even from the beginning of times or beyond time and space, like in the spiritual world also, we have a desire for bonding, and love impacts us in a way that it fulfills our desire to bond. We and like if we speak scientifically, when we have that sense of bonding, our body releases the hormone which is usually called the love hormone, oxytocin. That is, when we experience the bonding, it is released in our brains, and we tend to, if this makes us a social animal. That's how, when we have bonding, then that's how love impacts us, which means that when oxytocin is released in our bodies, we experience love. we experience bliss, we experience happiness. And that oxytocin is released with the bonding with others, like as a social community, in relationships, having healthy relationships with other human beings, with pets, with ourselves, with the divine. So these are the ways wherein we can, when the oxytocin is released in our body, uh, we experience. That's how love impacts us physically.
So, carrying on forward from this, what are the some pathways or the languages to love? What are the few languages in some sort of way to love?
This is a very good question, and yeah. So there, if you have read the book Five Love Languages, so we have experience of love in different ways. For different people, the language of love is different. Some people express love by giving gifts to each other. That is their expression of love. Some people express their love through appreciation. So they express love in that way. Some people can, by the physical touch, cuddle, hugs. That is the way wherein some people express love. So these are the different ways. There are two more ways. What else? Do you remember?
Gifts?
Gifts, appreciation, hugs, cuddles. That's physical touch. What's the fourth and fifth? Okay, so these are the different express. That's how we express love to each other.
So, what are the different kinds of love?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. There are different kinds of love. Before I tell you what are different kinds of love, I would like to share. Uh, we will the different kinds of love. Let's start from. Um, Yeah. So let's start. There is one kind of love that is between mother and child. That's maternal love. That's the relationship between a mother and child. And it just starts when when oxytocin is released, for example, during childbirth. Oxytocin is released, or when the mother feeds the child, then oxytocin is released, and that's the bonding that's built by the release of oxytocin, that the love hormone, that bonding, that maternal love expands beyond, even after the delivery. So this is one kind of love. Then the other kind of love is, you can say, um, romantic love between partners. That is when you experience that love where there is a sexual attraction. Then that kind of love, physical attraction, wherein when you are in a sexual relationship, the oxytocin is released, and that kind of love is a romantic love. Then another kind of love is loving yourself. What do you mean by loving yourself? That is, first, in order to love yourself, you need to know yourself. Who are you? When you will understand who are you, then you will start accepting yourself. Loving yourself comes with self acceptance. And when you know yourself enough to accept yourself, who you are, with all your weaknesses and all your positive attributes, with all of them in whole, not just the good parts of yourself but the bad parts of yourself, as a human being, as a human being who is both, uh, who, when you embrace both the good and bad of you, that is self love. And when you are at a stage of self love, then you are connected with divine love. And that's the purest form of love, we can say. That is our connection with the divine. And each these different kinds of love that I've mentioned, may it be maternal love or romantic love or self-love or divine love, they all release this love hormone that we so crave for. When your mother hugs you, it's a good feeling, right? When a baby cries and the mother, cuddles with the baby is he gets calm, you know
Yeah.
he soothes. Isn't that so? That feeling is the bonding. That's the human bonding. Similarly, when partners, they come together, when they are in a romantic relationship, when they come together, they feel a sense of bliss, they feel a sense of bonding. That is oh, that is the primary human desire. As human beings, we have and there is nothing bad about it. And this is a sacred form of love as well, which is between two partners, right? So then comes a self love, loving and accepting yourself, embracing your true self. And then comes the divine love, that is the ultimate, the purest form of love. That is how we are connected with our creator. And that also releases oxytocin. So now, what are the what is the relationship that we would like to talk about between oxytocin and this love? Is that, as I mentioned, about the maternal love, when you cuddle with your child, or when you breastfeed your child, the oxytocin is released. Or as in I talked about the romantic kind of love, where you have that sexual relationship, then oxytocin is released. Then when you love yourself, accept yourself, you connect with your inner self, then also you feel attached to yourself, then also you feel that sense of bliss. Then also oxytocin, that's how we are oxytocin is related to self love. And then with the divine love, when we meditate, or when we pray, or when we have that pure connection with the divine during our salah or in meditation, then then also oxytocin is released. So oxytocin is the love hormone, that is our primary need as a human being. And there is nothing wrong in having this need and fulfilling it from any of these sources, because these are our sources to get oxytocin from.
So, what happens when this oxytocin is imbalanced or deficient in our body?
That's where things go wrong. And that's again is a very good question, because bonding is our primary desire. Then we bond when we have oxytocin, the love hormone, in our body. What happens when it is imbalanced, or when we are deficient of it? When we are deficient of it, we have feeling of emptiness inside us, or we can feel anxiety, stress, depression, loneliness. These all feelings, they start, they bubble up inside us in the form of depression or emptiness or anxiety. And if we do not pay much attention at this level, where our emotion, at this emotional level, they transform into physical diseases, wherein we don't know what's happening to us, what are the deficient, where do are we having healthy relationships in our lives or no, or are we having a divine connection or no. So in the later stage, it transforms into physical illnesses in our lives. So that's why balancing this hormone or this chemical is so very important.
So, I'm gonna link this back to the different types of love that you mentioned. So, what happens if self-love is deficient in our bodies?
So when self-love is deficient in our body, we, as I mentioned, that when love is missing from our lives, it's, as I mentioned, it's the highest form of frequency a human being can ascend to. So as we had that chart, wherein at the highest levels, the emotions that we experience is that of compassion, freedom, joy, love, abundance. When we are not having enough self-love, then we are naturally going to descend into the feelings of shame, guilt, hatred. These kinds of feelings we will take in, and when we will going to take in these feelings, we will go into the negative space. So that's why it is very important to embrace ourselves fully, rather than staying in guilt all the time or shame all the time. We should forgive ourselves.
What are your thoughts on unconditional love? Because although it is present in, although it is present in the maternal love that you mentioned earlier, uh, it might be missing in other sorts of distant relationships. Sometimes with distant friends. So, or if you have a fight with your friend, it is missing and sometimes fades away. So, what? So, what are your thoughts on unconditional love? And is it true?
Yes, so unconditional love is the purest form of love one can experience, but it's not easy to experience it, because as human beings we have our desires, and there are different stages of love. I would suggest that you go through different stages, as from the perspective of the Arabic language, wherein each stage is a level of love that you go through. First, there is attraction, or there is infatuation, and then there is a desire, and these are giving you something. Unconditional love is despite what this you are accepting the person the way you are, the way that person is, and still loving. For example, if a mother and child relationship is conditional, then the mother will love the child only if the child does what the mother wants him or her to do. And if the child is not doing that, she will take away the love. So then the parent and child relationship is not unconditional, it is conditional. If you are going to do this, then I'm gonna give this. And sometimes it happens we do this often in our relationships. Then this is conditional love. Unconditional is without any conditions. You just accept the person the way they are.
So, what are the three most important things that you think are that they have to be present in a healthy relationship?
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I think this is so very important for our youth to understand, especially because love is not something bad. This is the highest form of frequency that a human being can experience. So, love is nothing bad. Relationships are nothing bad. But for a healthy relationship to thrive, I believe some out of three are the most important out of many. There are many, but three are the most important thing when you are having, especially I will talk about the romantic relationships. For example, in romantic relationship, if you don't have consent, and let's say in certain cultures you are there is no consent in a marriage, and you are just blackmailed emotionally or pressurized to marry. Okay, it's a good age to marry, come on, we have found your partner, come on. And then you are emotionally or blackmailed to come to go for that marriage. Then this is not consent. Despite saying that it's consent, it's not consent. So when for a healthy relationship, the consent is very important. Otherwise, that relationship cannot thrive for long. Where then the other aspect is, like for example, in this type of setup, what I'm saying is that there is no consent. Seemingly there is consent, but no consent. But there is a lawful legal agreement in the form of marriage, or so there is there you are signing a paper for commitment, and there is a public declaration as well that you are announcing that now you are partners. So this is present, wherein now I will talk about an entirely opposite setup where there is consent. The two people, they want to come together into a physical relationship. There is consent, but there is no commitment and there is no public declaration. Now, both of these ends are so very dangerous for a relationship to thrive. What do you think? Do you have any idea? What do you think can go wrong if we are stuck at these two extremes? Okay, let me tell you. When you don't have consent, then there can be no interest in the marriage. I didn't want to marry this guy, or I didn't want to marry this girl. How can you have a healthy relationship with a person wherein you did not in the first place want to marry that person? So how can a relationship thrive when there is no consent? There will be no happiness, there will be no oxytocin, to be exact. There would be no bonding in that relationship. There will be only fights, because in the first place you were not prepared, or you were not ready for that relationship, or you did not accept that relationship. It was just imposed forcefully on you by the society, by your parents, by whatever it is, but it was imposed on you. It was not something that you wanted. So that's so dangerous, having a relationship or having a marriage without consent. Okay, then talking about the other extreme where there is consent, two people want to come together, they want to have a live-in relationship, but they are not willing to commit, or they are not willing to declare it, have a legal setup, or declare it publicly. What can go wrong in this? This can be a recipe for disaster, because when you are not committed, or you are not declaring your relationship public, either of the party can back out. You know, either of the party can back out, either of the party can maltreat you, either of the party can abuse you and just throw you away, because there is no accountability in the relationship. There are no consequences in the relationship. And as a result, now, okay, I talked about this side also and this side also. As a result, what will you lack in both these situations? What are you going to lack? You're going to lack oxytocin. Okay? And when you're going to lack oxytocin, the primary purpose of bonding is missing. You will have issues like abandonment. You will have issues like shame, guilt, I'm not good enough, rejection. These all traumas you will experience in both of these, in both these setup. And having said so, not only about romantic relationships, if if the let's say if it's a relationship between a parent and a child, and it is inconsistent, non-committed, not declared publicly, then also the child will experience the similar kind of traumas, where you will be abandoned, there will be no accountability, the parents would not feel their responsibility to look after them. So it can happen in that kind of relationship, where parent-child relationship as well, and then the child will land into abandonment traumas or rejection traumas, or feeling like I'm not good enough, or I'm not my parents are not proud of me, and stuff like that. And it can lead to those traumas, and that could lead to, as we said, when these things will happen, you are going to lack oxytocin. And we're going to lack oxytocin, you will have feelings of loneliness, emptiness, depression, anxiety, and then it will bubble up into physical illnesses and stuff like that. So everything is connected. So that's why, what the three important factors when you are building up a relationship. Because see, what one night stands would do, let's say you do not want to commit, but you want to you are sexually attracted, or you want to have a physical relationship for let's say for a month or for a year, but you are not committed, or it's just like for one night, like a one night stand. What will it do? What, why is it unhealthy? It is unhealthy because the moment you are going to break that bond, you will disconnect with that person, but your oxytocin levels would be imbalanced. You will start feeling empty from inside. You will start having depression, anxiety, stuff. It will That's why, when you there is nothing wrong in having a love relationship, or there's nothing wrong in celebrating love, but make sure that you are into a healthy relationship wherein you have consent, both the parties have consent, both the parties are committed, and there is a public declaration. No matter which culture you belong to, which religion you belong to, there should be a public declaration. There should there should not be any secrecy in the relationship. Otherwise, when you will be maltreated, who is accountable for that? If you are abused, let's say, who will you go to for who is going to hear you out? Nobody. And you will fall into the pit again and again and again and again. Getting my point? And anything that you would like to add?
No, I think that's all from me and from you as well. And to close this amazing conversation that we had about love is in the air, thank you, Ami.
You're most welcome, Bitan.
And see you later. Bye.